if you do come here to have a look at these rocks, just be careful because the cyclists do come through at a pace. So the original line was built as a contour railway with short straight sections and very tight curves. And that made it extremely difficult for more modern steam locomotives. You've got to bear in mind, 1834, this was only the fifth passenger steam railway anywhere in the world. So it was right at the dawn of the railways, and was certainly pre-Victorian. So you can see the rocks here, you can see the metasediments, and again here you can see the metasediments forming this cutting. This is quite a large unsupported face, and it got these massive trees growing out of it, which are going to be doing an awful lot of harm to the face. Of course, in the days of steam railways, you couldn't have trees growing next to your railway because the steam engines used to set fire to them. But of course, there's no railway here anymore, and therefore no need to keep the trees cut back. But you can pretty much guarantee that all of these trees have grown up since the 1960s and 1970s, when this railway really fell into decline. And look, we've got another massive face here, and you can see this rock is actually for a metasediment. There isn't much foliation to it. I suspect that most of what we've got here is a sandstone. The sandstone tends to hold a lot less structure than the mudstone once it's been metamorphosed and the original bedding has been lost. And whereas the slate will, all of the little platy crystals within the within slate or within mudstone will align and form a slaty cleavage, what we call it, a foliation within the rock. That doesn't happen with the sandstone because the grains in sandstone tend to be far more rounded and not platy, so they don't realign when the rock realigns. There's not an awful lot of cracking towards the base of that, but I suspect that the vegetation's hiding an awful lot towards the top. And it's actually the cracks and the joint sets and any faults that are in the rock that tend to be the places where the vegetation gets a foothold, where the roots can get in and grow. And once those roots get in, they allow more water in, and that tends to cause the root to grow bigger, and eventually it will pop the fracture, and that's when you get an open fracture, and that becomes the most damaging. So there was the cutting there. We'll head on a bit further, and then we'll just turn around and come back and have a look at the other side.